Many, many young people are being killed, soldiers. You know, the land is very flat, and hundreds of thousands of soldiers from each, many hundreds of thousands from each side are dead, and they're laying in fields.
That's crazy.
But nobody to even collect. There's landmines all over. It's a disaster. But it's very flat. It's great. It's farmland, and it's very, very flat. And the only thing that stops a bullet is the human body. And the human body is stopping a lot of bullets.
That's so sad, man.
I hope to have 6 months. No, I hope long before 6 months. Look, Russia's losing a lot of young people, and so is Ukraine. And it should have never been started. That's a war that should have never happened. I guarantee you, if I were president, that war would have never happened.
Who would you like to nominate to replace Michael Barr as vice chair of the Military Board?
I'll be announcing somebody.
Mr. President, if we were to work under the assumption that you're serious about making Canada 51st state of the United States.
Here we go. Let's talk about Canada.
The Conservative Party in Canada said, under no circumstances will it ever be the 51st state.
Maybe he won't win, but maybe he will. I don't care.
You had suggested.
Listen, I don't care what he says.
But Sir, real fast, you said you were considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force.
Economic
Because
force.
Canada and the United States, that would really be something. Get
Wow.
rid of that artificially drawn line.
Wow.
Look at what that looks like. And it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada.
Right.
But here's the problem with Canada. So many friends up there. I love the Canadian people.
There's some good people up there.
But we're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it.
This border.
We're spending hundreds of billions a year to take care of Canada. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars. You know, they make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit.
Right.
We don't need the cars.
Let's go.
We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need their lumber. We have to unrestrict them because stupid people put, restrictions on, but I can do that with an executive order.
That's
We don't
crazy.
need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have. We don't need anything. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more?
Wow.
To
If
protect
that's true.
Canada? And I said that to, as I called him, Governor Trudeau. I said, listen, what would happen if we didn't subsidize you, if we didn't, because we give them a lot of money. We help them. As an example, we're buying icebreakers, and Canada wants to join us in the buying of icebreakers. I said, we don't really want to have
Need
a
'em.
partner in the buying of icebreakers. We don't need a partner.
Right.
But no right. Nope, no right. Here's what we have. We have a right not to help them with their financial difficulties because we owe $36 trillion too. We're going to start knocking it out pretty fast. We're going to be able to do it because of energy and other things.
That's crazy.
No right. No right. But why are we supporting a country, $200 billion plus a year? Our military is at their disposal. All of these other things, they should be a state. That's why I told Trudeau when he came home, I said,
Interesting.
what would happen if we didn't do it? He said Canada would dissolve. Canada wouldn't be able to function if we didn't take their 20% of our car market. They send us hundreds of thousands of cars. They make a lot of money with that. They send us a lot of other things that we don't need. We don't need their cars, and we don't need the other products. We don't need their milk. We got a lot of milk. We got a lot of everything. And we don't need any of it. So I said to him, well, why are we doing it? He said, I don't really know. He was unable to answer the question. But I can answer it. We're doing it because of habit. And we're doing it because we like our neighbors, and we've been good neighbors. But we can't do it forever, and it's a tremendous amount of money. And why should we have a $200 billion deficit and add on to that many, many other things that we give them in terms of subsidy? And I said, that's okay to have if you're a state. But if you're another country, we don't want to have it. We're not going to have it with European Union either. European Union, we have a trade deficit of $350 billion. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take anything. And so we're not going to have it with them either. Brian, go ahead.
Yes. Happy New Year, by the way.
Thank you.
We have some breaking news. You may not be aware of this, but it looks like Canon has blocked the DOJ from releasing the Smith's report until further court proceedings. Get your thoughts on
Wow,
that.
that's a big story.
Yeah.
So, if I get it right, the fake witch hunt started by the DOJ, having to do with books and records, and Biden had many more, and he wasn't protected by the Presidential Records Act, I was. But all of that fake stuff that took the lives of people, I mean, literally destroyed people. People are destroyed because of what they did. Destroyed. But we got to be president. But Biden
Right.
did it for 40 years. He did
Talk
it when
about
he was a
them.
senator. That was illegal. And they ruled it was illegal. How about that? They said, it's illegal, but he's unfit to stand trial. So he can stand and be president of the United States, but the prosecutor found that he's unfit for trial. I was going to use that as a major talking point, but I never got to use it because all of a sudden I had a new candidate who was also sort of unfit to stand trial, right? But so what you're saying is that the judge just blocked the, so
Whoa.
Cannon was thrown off the case. They dropped their appeal because he had no case. They dropped all of that, the lawsuits against us. They lost the lawsuit. So this is deranged Jack Smith. So he dropped the lawsuits. He was told to by the DOJ because they had no lawsuit. They lost in court in front of a very strong and a very brilliant judge. They lost in court, and that pertained to other cases in other courts. So he wanted to do a report just before I take office, probably.
Wow.
So he'll do like a 500-page report, and it'll be a fake report, just like the investigation was a fake investigation. And I said, well, wait a minute. This guy was thrown off in disgrace. In disgrace. He's going back to The Hague or wherever they're going to send him. In disgrace. Because he failed so badly. Because it was a fake case against a political opponent. They thought they were going to use this to beat me. So what you're saying is, I'm just hearing that they're not allowed to issue the report. So if they're not allowed to issue the report, that's the way it should be. Because he was thrown off the case in disgrace. Why should he be allowed to write a fake report? It'll only be a fake report. That's great news. Good.
And if I can just follow up real quickly, you want to comment, many Americans are angry that we're sending millions of dollars every month to the Taliban. Do you anticipate?
It's not even believable. Billions of dollars, not millions, billions. We
That's
pay
correct.
billions of dollars to essentially the Taliban, Afghanistan. And that's given by Biden. That's the same man that took away $50 to $60 trillion worth of value from the United States. Think of it. Probably our most valuable asset. Took away our most valuable asset. This can't be allowed to happen. We are now a nation of common sense. When he does that, 625 million acres, this can't be allowed to happen. Thank you for the information. Yes, sir. Most other people probably knew about it, but they wouldn't have told me, right?
Mr. President, on the campaign trail, you vowed to bring down the prices at grocery stores very fast.
Yeah, we will
but
do it
then you
fast.
recently told Time Magazine that bringing down prices would be very hard. So what can the American people expect when you get into office?
It's always
When
hard to
can they
bring
go
down
the
prices when
grocery
somebody
store?
else has screwed something up like they did. But we'll bring them down. We'll get them down. Energy is going to bring down prices. We're going to have a lot of energy. And energy is what brought it up. Energy and their bad spending is what brought it up. And energy is going to bring it down. We're going to have prices down. I think you're going to see some pretty drastic price reductions. As an example, food, bacon, ham, apples, everything has gone through the roof. It's one of the reasons I won. So as you know, I said it, inflation was one of the reasons I won, but I think the biggest reason I won was the fact that they are allowing prisoners to come into our country. They released their prisoners, their murderers. Thousands of murderers are now walking around the streets of our cities and farmland all over, murders, people that have killed. Many, 32% have killed more than one person. They released them from their jails, their prisons, and their mental institutions and insane asylums into our country. I believe that's the reason.
Should speak
we
about
got
the
such a
drones,
large
too.
vote.
Next.
All right, maybe one or two more questions. Yeah, please, go ahead. Go ahead, you go.
So
You have it.
can you President Carter is laying in state today in Washington. You had some harsh words for him about the Panama Canal. Is there any disconnect there? Do you feel a little bit bad about doing that on this day?
No, I liked him as a man. I disagreed with his policy. So, hey, he thought giving away the Panama Canal was a good thing. I think it cost him the election. That and the hostages. I actually think that was a bigger factor because that's a deal that just should not have been made. But, again, this was a question that was asked of me. I didn't bring it up. I didn't want to bring up the Panama Canal because of Jimmy Carter's death.
Right.
People don't bring it up, but you know, you
Out
and
of
other
respect.
people have asked me about it. No, it's a deal that I was very strongly against. I was a young guy when this took place, but just why would we spend all of that money, lose 38,000 people to malaria, the mosquito? They were dying. It was horrible. What was
Interesting.
happening. They paid them 4 times more than they would make in the United States, but they knew they were going to go over there and die. And they died in the jungles of malaria. There was nothing we could do to stop it. 38,000. And then we gave it away for $1.
Without getting their agenda through Congress, you appeared to open the door in your radio interview yesterday for a 2-bill approach. Is it still your preference for one big, beautiful bill, as you have said?
Well, I like one big, beautiful bill, and I always have, I always will. But if 2 is more certain, it does go a little bit quicker because you can do the immigration stuff early. Now, you have to understand, for immigration and for the wall, we won the case on the wall. You know, they tried to sell the wall for 5 cents on the dollar, by the way. And we had, fortunately, a judge that stopped that. But they were already discarding the wall. And 5 cents on the dollar. And you know what they were doing? They were calling us up and saying, we'll sell it back to you at 200 cents. In other words, double what we paid for it. So they were going to buy it from this guy for 5 cents on the dollar. They were making deals. And fortunately, we had a very smart judge that stopped it cold. I think he called for an investigation, too, and he should. But think of it. They were selling the wall that was exactly the wall that the Border Patrol wanted. That was designed by them. Steel, concrete, rebar, exactly as they want. Very, very heavy steel, very powerful steel, hard to cut. Very, very heavy, 7,000-pound concrete, which is a very strong concrete. Everything was top of the line. Very expensive. Would be double what we paid for it then, 6 years ago. But let me just tell you, they were selling it for 5 cents on the dollar to people, and those people were calling us, asking us to pay them 200 cents because it's a good deal because we can have it immediately. And you know what immediately is? Just leave it in place. No, the papers haven't written that, though. That deal is like all the other things that these people do. These people either hate our country or they're very stupid. And I don't believe they're stupid because nobody can cheat on elections like they cheat and be stupid. They either hate our country or
This
they're
dude's
stupid.
crazy.
So remember what I said because nobody wants to report it. They were selling the wall for 5 cents on the dollar and trying to resell it back to us for 200 cents or less.
Which is insane.
But for 200 cents on the dollar.
Insane.
That's a nice return.
They announced that it will stop putting fact checks on posts on its website. And Meta said today it would stop putting fact checks on its website.
Yes, we're going to react to this. This is
Well, I
interesting.
watched their news conference.
Mark
and, I thought
Zuckerberg.
it was a very good news conference. I think they've come a long way. Meta,
Yep.
Facebook. I think they've come a long way. I watched it. The man was very impressive. I watched it. Actually, I watched it on Fox. I'm not allowed to say that.
I'm not allowed to say that.
He's directly responding to the threats that you have made to him in the past. With these
Probably.
issues.
Yeah, probably.
The last time you were here, you were asked a question about the U.S. possibly launching a preemptive strike on Iran. You said you wouldn't answer.
Preemptive strike. Whoa.
On Iran. The U.S. launching a preemptive
I said on who?
Iran's nuclear facilities.
And I said I don't talk about it. It's a military strategy.
But it is a legitimate question. It's something that can
Well, it's not really because only
It's not
can
really.
answer it. Look, it's a military strategy, and I'm not answering your questions on military strategy. All right, one more, Brian. Go ahead. Brian.
Could you give us a preview of what you might be talking to leaders of Congress who are expected to come here in the next couple of days? And you've got a very supportive Congress behind you.
They're great. So we have a wonderful Republican Congress. We have a leader that I have a lot of confidence in. I think he's going to be hopefully a great leader. a great speaker. And we have a leader, by the way, in the Senate, I think has been great. John Thune has been doing a fantastic job.
John
But it goes through
Thune.
the House first. And the question is whether or not we do the two bills or one bill. And, you know, look, I can live either way. I like the idea of the one big bill, but I can live either way. But they'll be coming down. The senators also will be coming down, and then ultimately we'll be meeting in the White House in a few weeks. But right now, this is the winter season. You know, they sort of call this the winter White House. It was built, I don't know if you know this, Marjorie Meriwether Post and E.F. Hutton built this. It was the greatest of all the estates in our country. And I saved it, and I got a lot of credit for saving it. Most of these big, great houses have been knocked down in Palm Beach, just about all of them, actually. And they, you know, you'd build 10 mansions on one site. But we saved
10
it.
mansions
But this
on
was
one
built as
side.
the Southern White House. And she gave it to the government. And, by the way, Jimmy Carter gave it back. He said it's too expensive for the United States. So I didn't realize that.
I was just told.
Actually, Jimmy Carter,
I was
Nixon
just
was
told.
through Watergate. He came down. Nixon came here once,
Nixon.
and he thought it was incredible. But he had a
Really?
Watergate. If anybody remembers that.
Nixon pulled up to Mar-A-Lago?
He had other
Nah.
things on his mind, to put it mildly. And Jimmy Carter felt that it was too extravagant for the country. So, fortunately for me, he gave it back to the foundation, and I bought it from the foundation.
Interesting.
On reconciliation, some Republicans saying in trade for a massive bill that you and they share the interest in, they want to see big spending cuts. Do you agree with that? And what would
Well,
your
I'm okay
cuts
with
be
spending
on-
cuts. I like spending cuts. Just
I like spending cuts. He's like, hold up now.
It was given to us. It shouldn't have been, but it was put in our lap. And what I want in terms of debt ceiling isn't the ceiling. I just don't want to see a default. That's all I want. I never talked about spending more money necessarily than all I want to see is no default. Because nobody knows what would happen if there was a default. It could be 1929 and it could be nothing. But that was put into our lap. And it shouldn't have been, but it was, and so we'll handle it. But debt ceiling is not about raising a lot of money. It's really just about extending it. I just want to see an extension.
Sir, on immigration, how much can you do by executive order? Are you planning to do on executive order when it comes to immigration? And how much do you want Congress to tackle this issue? And also on day one,
Well, I had the
what
safest
executive
border
orders are
in the
you
history of our
planning?
country by far. You remember the famous chart that I brought down. I love that chart very much for a lot of reasons.
Famous
I
chart.
have
Yeah.
the safest border by far in the history.
Yes,
of our
sir.
country. And when I took it over, it was a mess. Nothing like it is now. This is 10 times worse. I got elected because of the border the first time, and I think I got elected largely because of the border the third time. And the second time, I did equally well. Well, not as well as the last time, but I did very well. And I will say, this was too big to rig. You know,
Too big.
Too big.
Too big to
They
rig.
couldn't do it. They tried, but they couldn't do
They
it.
couldn't do what they tried.
I didn't get very much from Congress at all. I just
He's
said
great.
we're being invaded, and I took the money out of the military. Much of the wall, I built over 500 miles of wall. Much of that wall was built through money that I put into the military. We took it out because we couldn't get things from Congress in those days, and we took it out. And that wall was built largely with money coming from the military. So, very simple. I went to the military, I said, our country is being invaded by very similar, nothing like what's invading our country now. They weren't releasing prisons into our country, and they weren't releasing mental
crazy.
institutions in, but some
Oh, no.
bad dudes were coming in, right?
Some bad
And
dudes.
I said, our
Shot
country's
Donald
being invaded. And I took that money largely from the military. I was sued 9 times
Some bad
by
dudes.
the Democrats in Congress, and I won all those suits. And we ended up building 571 miles of wall. Once that wall was built, they start going around it. So we're going to add another 200. That would have been up in 3 weeks. And then we had a very unfortunate election result. And they said, we don't want to put it up. We'll sell it. And they started selling it for 5 cents on the dollar. What a second. So we'll do this again. I just want to thank everybody very much. I'm just telling you, this will be the golden age of America. This is the golden age of America. We're going to have a great country again. We're a country right now under siege. We have so many different problems, and nobody respects us overseas, but now they do. The Italian prime minister, as you know, came here the other night, just flew in and flew out. She wanted to see me. And great respect is being shown when I went to the cathedral in France. Great respect was shown by the Prime Minister, the President, by everybody. France was, and by the way, I have to say they did a great job in the cathedral. But great respect is being shown to our country again. And
Yeah, shout out to
we
them
have a
for
great country, but we have
putting
to
the
run it
cathedral back
properly.
together
It's gotta be
after
run
it burnt.
properly.
Or someone burned it
We
down.
want to get back those hostages for Israel and for us. You
Absolutely.
We do have people that are hostages being held. And I'll just say it again. If this deal's not done with the people representing our nation, by the time I get to office, all hell is going to break out. Thank you very much.
And there it is, folks. I love that.
Can you clarify what you mean by
I love that.
force in the Panama Canal?
Folks, thank you for being here. It's your boy Kicking It with Timmy B. We just checked out Donald Trump, aka President-elect, and he is now president, or he will be on Inauguration Day within like a couple weeks here. We just watched his, I guess, briefing, you want to call it. He's just speaking at Mar-A-Lago. You can't really call it a briefing unless they call it a briefing or unless he's like in office and he's like, to my understanding. So anyway, I wanted to go check that out. So real quick, I thought this was very interesting. He was like, the whales don't like it. And the whales there's like 15 or 17 whales or something like that have showed up on the shores. Cause people, I've seen some of the videos. When he was speaking about that, he says the whales don't like the wind. And he was talking about the windmills. He was like, they don't like, or the whales don't like the windmills. I was like, why would there be windmills? Why would there be whales on land? Why are the whales, these aquatic mammals in the water, so worried about these windmills on the land? And I'm seeing it right now. And I was like, wait. I had to look this up. Bro, this is crazy. And we're seeing it right now. I don't know why I have to go through all that just to go see this. I mean, that's interesting. I didn't know that they put windmills in the water like that. That's like new to me. I've seen the oil rigs and stuff like that out in like Cali and stuff like that. I've never seen nothing like this before. That's interesting. But straight up windmills in the water, that's insane. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm sure they provide some use, but like not enough to be putting in the water. I don't know if that's enough justification to be putting these in the water and harming the sea life out there. But it's very interesting though, because you're seeing the technology that they have, and I'm just seeing this for the first time, by the way, at least like this stuff. This is insane. So they have these windmills that are on floaties, like flotation devices. They're like anchored and they keep them afloat and they just sit on the water like that. And then they have isn't there like any other way? Dude, there's gotta be other ways, man. This is insane. So I don't like this. I definitely am not a fan of this. If they can get rid of these or just stop doing these altogether, that'd be great. And finding a more resourceful and healthier alternative, for energy. Cause like, this ain't it. The whales though, man. I'm like, I thought he was like joking. No, I mean, like the whales with the contamination of the water and all this other stuff, like, and the plastics and all that other junk that we put out and the radioactive material they be dumping and all this other stuff. These whales already have it, and the sea life already have it bad. Now you're putting these up and they're trying to swim and they use sonar and they don't have good vision and they're just going to smack right into these. So I would assume that's why they have these now. So they don't do that. So they aren't, but they could still get caught up in that. Like these things are still tethered to the ground, folks. They're still tethered to the ground, and you can't leave them untethered because they're not going to stay supported. These are heavy. These are heavy. Like the fact that we even have stuff like this, or there's people like thinking of this, is just interesting, to say the least. And like this is the top of it. So they have to send people on boats to go these places, to go do the maintenance. And then he said like taking them down. Now the ones on land, like, are obviously are probably going to be a lot more a lot easier to get rid of, to like take down, than these water ones. But so they have a boat towing these out. This is fascinating. I did not know that this was a thing. What? And then they have stuff underground or underwater. They have like the actual blades underwater, and then what, the sea current spins these things. Like, that's not cool either. Those poor fish. I mean, I'm not gonna be like, I love animals. Definitely an advocate for animal safety and taking care of the environment in the world. I mean, but wow, this is something else we're seeing here. And then these have like the solar panels that just float on the water to power this thing, to spin, like what? What? Or to power whatever, that monitor, or whatever the system that monitors these things. This is fascinating work, by the way. Anyway, I just thought that I had to look into that because he brought that up, and I just was not privy to this being a thing, and I'm sure not a lot of people are. So anyway, windmills in the water. Apparently President Donald Trump like taught me something today here. It's very interesting. All right, and real quick, I got another one while we're doing this. Just a little picture here. Mario Nafal has a photo here on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can hit me up on X at KIWTP Gaming. You can hit Mario Nafal up here at Mario Nafal. You want to go check him out. Anyway, Donald Trump brought up, because it seems like it might be a thing here, an acquisition of the Northern Territories, aka the Northern Colonies, aka Canada, and an acquisition of Greenland, a protectorate. Apparently, right now, Don Jr., aka Donald Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., is in Greenland right now with Charlie Kirk and a bunch of other folks as a dignitary or as a ambassadors here to, I guess, get the lay of the land of what folks think here about becoming a part of America. If that were to be the case, they have to go talk to Denmark and all the other stuff, or we have to figure out, like, just the fact that they need to do some crazy research to figure out if Denmark actually has, ownership. But anyway, the whole point of this is this talk of this acquisitions between the United States acquiring Canada and Greenland, I find very fascinating. And shout out to Depressed Ginger out there. Man, this guy was talking about Greenland like a year ago or something like that, like a year and a half ago. And I was like, dude, there's no way. And then I kind of start looking into it, and I'm like, Greenland, acquiring it would be very interesting. And it, you think it's just a talking point, but it seems it was brought up in this, in this briefing here at Mar-A-Lago on January 7th, 2025. It's your boy Kicking It with Timmy B. Hit the like, share, and the subscribe button if you enjoy this video. So anyway, to the point, this would be insane. Like, you're seeing this greater American, like, we'd have to change up everything. Or like, there would be some changes. Definitely some title changes, obviously. And a lot of paperwork. And this would be cool, man. I always wanted to go to Canada, but this would be even a more of a enticing thing for me to, like, this would be more, I'd want to go if they were acquired. if Canada was acquired, I'd be more willing to go. That'd be sick, and I'm sure that would bring up a lot of beneficial things for us and for them. It's not like a one-way thing. I'm sure there are some people would disagree with me on that, but I think it could benefit a lot, especially if this guy Justin Trudeau, like, come on, man. If he doesn't even want to stand up for his constituents, the people that he's actually serving, which is the Canadian people, and if they can't find somebody else, they better start rethinking some things here. So anyway, in Greenland, that sounds like it could be beneficial militaristically. And they're talking about putting Trump Tower up here. That's insane. That, like, he would put a Trump Tower in Greenland. So he'd just go out. Of course, he would have to have a spot, right? He'd have to put something up there, or they would put something up. I'm not saying that I would be doing that or that they should, but that's funny. Statehood request pending. Alberta and Saskatchewan. The greater American empire. So just trying to give you folks a visual. I mean, get all the Trump stuff out of it, but just get a visual if something like this were to happen. That'd be ground changing, like absolutely impactful to a lot of people's lives. And I think that would bring in a lot of currency to the United States and hopefully the American people's pockets, and not just these big corporations and CEOs and just Donald Trump and his people. Like, America needs to be flourishing. All race, creeds, all that other good jazz. So anyway, I thought I should go over that because that is very interesting, right? And then what was the other one? I think that's it. There was another one, but I can't even think about it. Anyway, it's your boy Kicking It with Timmy B. Thank you for being here. Hit the like, share, and the subscribe button. Figured that I'd bring this live out to you folks. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Yeah.